Hey guys, welcome to the We Need to Calm Down podcast. I'm Devin.
And I'm Joe.
And this is the show where we talk about all things Taylor Swift.
That's right. This is the show where two friends finally get to let their dedication to the 13th, that's right, 13th, most streamed artist, Taylor Swift, fly.
We'll be discussing everything from song breakdowns, Taylor news, and our insane fan theories. So speaking of Taylor news, what are we talking about today, Joe?
It's a great time to be a Taylor Swift fan.
So we are talking about, of course, Fearless, Taylor's version. Let us dive in.
General first impressions. What was your first thoughts listening to this album for the first time again?
So let's talk about emotions. Because I was emotional. That first kick drum into Fearless just instantly took me back. The nostalgia almost knocked me out. It's like the excitement of listening to a new Taylor Swift album, but we already know all the lyrics by heart.
We mention this all the time. Listening to old Taylor, it's very easy to tune out. Like, you can just sing along to them and not even pay attention that you're singing along to them. But like, now you're not only listening to them again as you would back then, but you're also like doubly listening because you're trying to hear, was there a difference here? Oh, she had different inflection here. She said this word. Oh, I could hear an extra word in this one that I never heard before. All of these little things that make you dive in even further. I'm just going to do nothing but put headphones on, push them really tight to my ears, and try to hear as many things as possible to see what could be different. The album feels like if you ever grew up watching a movie in like the early 2000s or something, and then later in your life you saw it on a Blu-ray or like remastered in 4K or something. That's what this album feels like. The production is so crisp. It's so clear. There are moments she sounds older, if not throughout the whole thing. She sounds more refined.
She just completely lost that country accent of hers.
It's nowhere near as in your face aggressively country as it was back then.
She combed through each line with like a fine-tooth comb to see if she can improve on it. It's the same album, but she, challenged herself. How can we make it better? Aaron Dessner actually points it out, how Taylor is reinterpreting and reclaiming the past, which has a lot of big implications.
Speaking of predictions and everything, how did we do?
We both didn't do great.
I think I was a clean 0 for 6 in my Vault Songs prediction. There was no I'd Lie, which I thought was a shoo-in.
It has to be self-titled. In terms of other predictions, we did get Colby Calais back in the studio, which was really cool. We also didn't get any alternate versions of the songs. We're sticking straight to the original.
The only other collab on the Vault tracks was Keith Urban.
Let's do just a quick lightning reaction to each track.
All right, we can do this. Let's go through 26 tracks.
Fearless. Still that iconic intro. I think it was better than the original.
I really didn't notice any difference. It still hits as hard. It's still perfect. I think it's about the same for me.
What do you think about 15?
Barely really any difference. If anything, I'd say it's slightly better.
Emotionally, the bridge hits a little bit harder for me. I still almost cry hearing, back then I swore I was going to marry him someday, but I realized some bigger dreams of mine, like where she is now compared to where she thought she was back then.
The word realized has double meanings now. Realized can also mean like they became real, and it did. Her bigger dreams became realized.
And then an Abigail gave everything she had to a boy who changed his mind, and Abigail got divorced.
I didn't know that. Oh my gosh. Like, that's heartbreaking.
So what about Love Story?
We talked about Love Story a lot in the prediction episode. It's iconic. It's still honestly about the same, which, to iterate, if we say something sounds the same, that does not mean that we think it's bad. It was exactly what she intended to do. She set out for this record to make it so Swifties like us don't have to listen to the old ones anymore. What were we saying this whole time? Cruelty-free, farm to table, organic, fearless.
We go into Hey Steven, and her laugh still gets me. I think the version is better, in my opinion.
I love when she laughs in songs.
White Horse.
The biggest elephant in the room is she changed the lyric, "This ain't a fairy tale," versus "This ain't our fairy tale." In the first instance, it's saying fairy tales aren't real. And in the second one, she's saying fairy tales very much are. Like, they can be real.
And
this
she
just isn't
found
ours.
someone. She found someone who treats her well.
You belong with me?
So I think I like this one the same. The pace seems a little fast faster for some reason. Such an iconic song that it's really hard to separate it from the original.
The one thing I will say, and correct me if I'm wrong, to me it sounds like there's a change in the guitar riff that's like ever so slight.
There's definitely like an overlay in that beginning riff.
I still love it.
Let's talk about Breathe real quick.
We can actually tell that Colby is in the song. It's still not like prominent.
Tell me why.
This girl, this might be like my breakout of the album. There is just a different energy about this version of the song. Girl was feeling herself. She was in a great mood. I got so excited and so hype every time I heard it.
So you're not sorry.
I'm a little dramatic. When I first heard this song, I was disgusted. It is probably like the most different song on the proper album. I don't know if to me that makes it better or worse though. The more I've listened to it, the more okay I am with it. And I don't think it's bad. It's just different.
It definitely is a little bit different, but something that doesn't just apply to this song, but the whole album. She's not singing it with the same rage and sadness that she was when she was younger. The Way I Loved You, I personally think it's better. I think it's become such a beloved song. It's very big on TikTok. It's kind of like a cult classic.
It was always a standout for me. Something does feel different. I don't know if it's the production is just better.
Forever and Always.
For me on this one, not a lot of difference stood out other than a more mature voice and better production overall.
I'm going to give her props that she can still hit those screaming high notes at the end.
The Best Day is another one. I literally can't. I listen to the song a lot. I cannot hear any differences whatsoever, but something still makes me like it better than the original.
This song would always make me cry, and it still does, especially in a new light with, you know, her mom's cancer diagnosis. I think that that's also just something that makes it a little bit sadder. But let's talk about Change.
Change, the only change I can I can clock is the run before the solo, which I really like.
I'm going to say hard disagree. I think that this song is 10 times better because of the implications. You know, when you think about the original version of Change, she wrote it about winning this award and looking over and seeing Scott Borchetta cry of happiness. And when she posted that the album was out, she captioned it, "It was the night things changed." Like, it just sounds like the walls fell down of these expectations of her finally owning the masters of this album. You know, when she sings Hallelujah, it's sustained longer from, 9 beats to 12. It shows how much she's grown vocally, and it just feels victorious. So now we get into the original bonus tracks from the deluxe version.
So Jump Then Fall. Originally one of my all-time favorites. We talked about it in the episode. I think it was what is our favorite least popular songs. There's definitely a lot more going on in the intro of this song. It sounds a lot different.
So a quick preface for just all of these original bonus tracks. I really wasn't super crazy about them. Like, I didn't really get into them except for The Other Side of the Door, but the re-recordings have just made me fall in love with all of them. I think they're all just better than the original because I'm invested in them now. And Jump Then Fall, fantastic song. Love it.
Going into Untouchable, I still can't get over that Untouchable is a cover.
When she has these slower kind of songs that are a little bit more like alto voice, it really just reminds me of like, okay, well, we just came off of the tales of Evermore and Folklore.
Forever and Always, the piano version, I remember I thought I went crazy for a second because she removed the word baby from this version. It's in the original non-piano version and it's in the original piano version where she says, "I don't feel welcome anymore, baby. What happened? Coming with the rain."
So good.
I feel like this is one that I remember loving. I'm really happy to see with this re-release it's becoming a favorite again.
So Superstar.
She just changed so much. The guitar intro is so much more pronounced. It feels more stylized, definitely feels less country, but it's better.
Our podcast favorite, The Other Side of the Door. Joe had some controversial thoughts on this one.
I've since come down a little bit, but my first thing that I wrote was, Joe hates this version. I've since updated, and now that I've spent more time with it, it is still insanely different. That said, I've come to grips after many listens, and it's fine. It won't have replaced the original for me, just like You're Not Sorry. I think I'm going to have to keep the original in my playlist.
I think it's just she doesn't have that, scrappiness to her anymore. She's not this country singer, so it's kind of hard to replicate that without trying too hard. So the last non-vault song is Today Was a Fairy Tale from the movie Valentine's Day.
To me, there really isn't a huge difference in this song. It was a bop then, it's a bop, parentheses, Taylor's version now. All right, so let's dive into some of the bonus tracks, spend a little bit more time here. You All Over Me, we talked a lot about. We have a whole separate reaction to it. If you haven't listened to it, there's a separate video entirely you can watch of that. We really liked the song. It's nice because now we have like a bunch of other songs to compare it to, so we can kind of figure out where we like it in relation to all of those. But one we didn't get to talk about because it came out so quickly next to the album is Mr. Perfectly Fine. Devin, tell me about Mr. Perfectly Fine.
What a song. So it is a shame that this song was not on the original. I think it is peak Fearless. I guess the reason why it didn't make the cut was because it was kind of too similar in relation to Forever and Always, a key change in it. It's just casually cruel. We have the first All Too Well lyric thrown in 2008, just showing that she is an amazing lyricist.
I love a petty queen, Queen of the North, and Joe Jonas's wife. Herself sharing the song, saying it's not a bop, to Taylor's 27 mentions of the word Mr., mimicking Joe's infamous 27-second breakup phone call. The song has literally everything. This song feels so perfectly on point from this album. I have to keep reminding myself it's new.
Switch it up a little bit. We Were Happy.
I love the title. I was excited for this song. Whenever Happy's in a song, you know it's going to be sad. My summation of this song is the lyrics. When it was good, baby, it was good, baby. We showed them all. No one could touch how we laughed in the dark talking about your daddy's farm. That part and the overall production are the only good parts of this song. Overall, if you took those parts out of the song, it would lose a lot.
It's a sad song, so of course I like it.
Like even the line, when it was good, baby, it was good, baby. Like it sounds like such a poorly written line, but it's so good and it's so well delivered. We move on to That's When with Keith Urban, the second and only other feature on the album. Of course, Keith gets a full verse. Jokes of the patriarchy aside, I'm not a fan of his verse. Again, like I said this before, I kind of just want more Taylor. I love this song. It hits a lot of notes. It's very country. Her verse and the chorus are really great. Like the chorus really stands out. Like I really find myself bopping and head bobbing along to the chorus. But it is an instance where I wish he was just on backing vocals.
You talk about the song being a country song. I think it's definitely going to target country radio, but it doesn't sound super country. Like besides Keith Urban's voice, I think it sounds more islandy. Like at the very beginning, it kind of sounds like beachy, islandy vibes.
I can see that. I think it's the chorus that really feels country.
Yeah.
Like that cadence and that like quickness in the chorus reminds me of like Sam Hunt. Then we move on to Don't You.
My favorite song. So if you know me, I'm a big 1989 fan. And I feel like this is the perfect mix of 1989 with like Lover production. And I can give her dissertation on the song. If I had this song, if she released it, 13 years ago in 2008, I don't think I would be here. I think I would be in the ground dead. The production is amazing. I think lyrical content just hits you. This is like going to therapy, but like if therapy made you worse. I just love it so much.
That might be my favorite description of Taylor Swift. It's like therapy if therapy made you worse. I, at first, really did not care for this song. It was very low in my rankings for the Vault songs. But I skipped it a lot. But like after growing up a bit and really listening to the lyrics and giving it more of a shot, I do realize it's a lot better than I gave it credit for. The lyrics are really good. The delivery is really good.
You know why you didn't like it? It's because you don't like songs like Sad, Beautiful, Tragic, and You're in Love, where the simplicity makes it hurt 10 times harder.
That's true. That's a very good point. I'm excited to spend more time with it now that I'm like not skipping it anymore. The best song, in my opinion, is Bye Bye Baby. This is the only song on this list that I actually knew going into this from the Vault. I had it on my first generation white iPod Nano in high school. It was originally leaked as one thing, and that's why when she did that Vault like decoder thing, I didn't quite get it because I was like, Bye Bye Baby, what is this song? I never heard it before. And then when I read somewhere that it was one thing, I was like, I know one thing. Word on the street is this song was originally supposed to be the closing track for the album in 2008, but BMR wasn't having it. Taylor swapped out a lot of lyrics on this, including a big one in the chorus, which is why it's not called One Thing anymore, because she took out the line that said one thing. What are our thoughts in general on these vault tracks?
So with the vault songs, like I said a little bit earlier, she took a lot of liberties and risks with these vault songs. I don't really think they necessarily fit the Fearless vibe 100%. I think it's not that super country-esque. But since they were never officially released, if you weren't like a diehard Taylor Swift fan, most listeners wouldn't know the difference. And I also think it's really cool that she was able to bring in her newer producers like Jack Antonoff and Aaron Dessner. So it's like you're mending this old lyrics with the newer production.
To quote a Maren Moore song, the house won't fall if the bones are good. You're taking these bones of these songs that might have like some imperfections of like when you build a house before you knew how to build a house, and you came in with like much more experience and just built a better house over the bones of the old house. With all that said, what do we think this means for the future re-records? How do we want to amend our predictions from our last episode?
So one thing we predicted was that the vault songs were going to have all these features on them. I don't think that all of them will have them, as we've been proven. If we do get 1989 next instead of Speak Now, I don't think we're going in order anymore. If we get 1989, I will not shut up. And I will die if Harry Styles is on the 1989.
I can see 1989's vault songs being Harry Styles and Selena Gomez. We do know, since we got Colby on this one, Taylor's clout, it's pretty clear that we'll probably get the other artists like Ed Sheeran, Gary Lighthouse, all of them come back. You said this, and I don't like this negative energy.
I just don't know if we're going to get the full version of All Too Well. We might get another verse.
I think you mistake it. I think we're going to get the re-record of All Too Well, and it's going to be one for one exactly what the original recording was. I think a bonus track or a from the vault is going to be All Too Well parentheses extended parentheses from the vault parentheses Taylor's version.
My last prediction, I think that there is definitely going to be a documentary tied in to these re-recordings. I think it'll probably come at the last album, potentially, if she does release self-titled last. I think that you release self-titled and then it's just Taylor Swift, the documentary.
That would be so good. Oh my gosh.
And especially because, like you said before, self-titled doesn't garner the most attention to it. I think that that's the perfect way. She ends by owning essentially herself and her music. She's reclaiming it.
So the last thing I think we should cover on our closing statements is, what's the verdict? Did she succeed? Did Taylor, will we ever listen to OG Fearless again, or has Taylor successfully converted us all to Fearless Taylor's version?
I don't think I need to listen to the original. I think that this version hits all the marks for me. I think while there's some songs that are a little bit different, I think that they're not different enough that I can't listen to just Taylor's version. And I think, ethically speaking, I would much rather support her with this new album than satisfy the little bits of me that want to hear her young voice again in the original.
I think, if I'm being very honest with myself, I'm probably 95-5 split, in that I can very easily see myself removing Fearless in its entirety from my liked songs on Spotify, with the only differences being You're Not Sorry and The Other Side of the Door. But I can still see there being moments in my life where I want to go back and listen to the original Fearless. And I think if that's the case, I'll just listen to my vinyl. So if you guys like this episode, if you want to hear more about us, if you want to hear our rankings on our next episode, hopefully, be sure to give us a review and a 5-star rating on Apple. It really helps us with the algorithms. Tell a friend about us. If you have any friends that are really into Swift, let them know and direct them our way.
And make sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to see our beautiful faces and any, exclusive content.
If you have a suggestion for an episode, drop us a comment or a DM. Any feedback, we love hearing from you guys. We love reading the stuff you have to say.
Aside from that, thank you so much for listening. We will see you in 2 Tuesdays on Typical Tuesday.
Come back.
We'll be here.